Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it is time for my client Doug's vlog, and we're over here getting ready for his next meet again, and we started the week off with his cambered bar, multi-grip bar. We call it a Swiss bar, whatever we want to call it. He got 315. He's like, yeah, that was pretty heavy. And the reason that's heavy is, again, somewhat narrower grip there, but mainly because that range of motion isn't increased. And this goes to show you guys, this comes up with the topic of arm lengths a lot. People will say, well, how much harder could a couple extra inches of arm length really be? And they'll see someone like me who has fairly long arms on the bench, and then you realize, Doug has benched 350 in competition recently, right? In December. 350, 352 actually, I believe. Right, that 315 was hard for him with that extra range of motion, and those things changed. Right, it matters. Matters a lot, which is why it is so impressive when you see someone who is a world-class level bencher with long arms and they've got that long range of motion. You know that they are just straight up strong. It's not even levers. That is someone who is just brutally strong. Perfect example would be, Julius Maddox. He's got a long range of motion on the bench, yet he's got the raw world record right now. Okay? That dude is just strong. He is just ridiculously strong. All right, so back over to the training. What do we do for supplemental work? At the moment, we do floor presses, incline, and JM presses. Yes, he is using a lot of volume. Doug is using a lot of volume. And I could always trim this back and he would probably do just fine. Right, we're doing a lot of volume for pressing, but benching is really what he's best at. Deadlifting is what he's worst at. So what else do we do here? We also do some band press downs, and then of course we always add in some back work. And in this case, he is doing dumbbell rows. Now Doug is actually at the heaviest he's been in a while. He's bulked up quite a bit. He's not quite as lean as he was before. Guy's still pretty lean, but he's well into a bulk. He's actually finally, I think for the first time in a while, above his actual weight class weight. Now that's going to be easy for us to cut weight down to make weight for competition, but he's actually above 181 finally, which doesn't really happen, with him. I've had him, I believe, under 170 before at one time. All right. Now we're really seeing all the lower body work pay off. This is a 445 box squat. Okay, keeping in mind box squats are more difficult. That was well below parallel. So we're happy with that. That means we're gaining muscle on the lower body. And I think we've seen some deadlift PRs too. So I think we're in a very, very good position with all of that. And I hope to continue to see that trend increasing. And in spite of, the fact that we're really focused a little more on deadlift accessories, his squat is still going up. Why? Well, because we're building his posterior chain and we are doing some quad work. Now in this case, we're doing Romanian deadlifts right here, which again, my experience, I feel like these carry over a little better to the deadlift than they do to the squat. And I think good mornings carry over a little more to the squat. If we're going to do these sort of movements at all. So at the end of the day, though, hypertrophy is still hypertrophy. If you're hitting training maxes, particularly if you're hitting training maxes plus speed work, and then you just get bigger, your maxes are going to go up. Here I have him doing some step-ups. We're adjusting the lower body movements a little bit. Right? I like step-ups because look how deep we can get. Look at that tension we can put on the quad at the very bottom. And I think one of the issues we do run into with some of the split squat type movements, particularly if we're holding on to stuff, it can de-emphasize that lengthened position at the bottom. Right? It can de-emphasize that, which isn't always ideal for maximizing quad development. Now, it's a great way to develop glutes and other things. I do like the split squats, particularly for glute development, I think at times. But for sheer quad development, I like these step-ups. They can be very, very effective, and I've used them myself in the past, which you guys know. You've seen me do them, right? So in this case, we do 10 on each leg. We don't alternate like we might do with the lunge. We just do these one at a time usually, or we could alternate them. I don't really care how someone does it. And then he finishes up with reverse hyperextensions and pull-ups. And I'm at a point with Doug where I could probably pull the extra back exercises out and have him just do one. And the reason being, we're already doing shoulder work, so we know the traps and rear delts and all that are getting worked to some extent. All right, that's all being worked. His lats are a strong body part. He's very, very strong at pull-ups. So I may come to a point with Doug to where we don't need it on all 4 days. Because his back is not limiting his deadlift. The guy can crank out 20 pull-ups. Okay? The guy can crank out 20 pull-ups. Even at his body weight, that's 600-pound deadlift back strength. Doesn't have a 600-pound deadlift. So we know it's posterior chain. All right, then we get over to speed bench day. We do 3 sets wide, 3 sets medium, 3 sets close. And of course, for his speed work, we don't really have band and chain setups at the moment. He can eventually probably set up bands with what he has, or he could get chains. I'm not worried either way, though. I like bands and chains. I particularly like bands for speed work, but I've also built people who are pretty much champions with just straight weight. They're nice to have. They can have their own unique training response, but they're not necessary. They're not necessary. Again, they're a nice complement, and I think they give us a slightly better training response on your speed work. But it's not going to make or break you. Afterwards, of course, we do incline benching, JM presses, all the same stuff that we did before, right, earlier in the week. And like I've said, I could cut some of this out at this point for him. Like quite frankly, he's so strong at the incline bench, I could probably pull that out, and we could just work on flat benching variations or floor press variations and just tricep work, and he would probably be fine. All right. Notice his upper chest and all that's well developed. Front delts are well developed. I don't think any of that's really limiting his bench. It's actually just overall chest at this point we need for him, which we could obtain with flat work just fine. So we may come to a point where we adjust that just for the sake of not pushing too much volume. And then we finish the week off with dynamic effort lower day. We do all the same assistance exercises and accessory work. So I'm just going to show you guys the speed work. We do speed boxes with the safety squat bar, and then he does conventional speed pulls, and then we pretty much call it a week. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.